Can't wear a bikini at a kid's party. So, this happened to me several years ago when I was in middle school. I had been invited to my best friend's little sister's birthday party. As her one person that she got to invite, my family dropped me off, and they went to a family reunion, and I hadn't been very interested in going to. Let me preface this story by saying that even though I love my best friend, and we are still best friends to this day, her family and their friends are basically rednecks. I live in the South, so it's not exactly a surprise. I didn't know anyone at the party other than my friend, her mom and stepdad, and her little sister. Her parents had a few friends there, and there's a few other random family members. After I got dropped off, I head inside with my friend. She tells me that they're gonna be setting up a kiddie pool for her little sister in the front yard, and if I wanted to help watch the kids and hang out with her in the pool, I could borrow one of her bikinis. She forgot to tell me before I came, so I didn't come up with my own. I said sure, it was really hot that day, and there wasn't much else for me and her to do anyways, so I picked out a bikini, and I remember it being a little big, because my friend's mom had to help me tighten the strings on it. We all head outside, they set up the pool, and everyone gets settled in lawn chairs or in the pool. Now, since the pool was one of those little blow-up ones that is maybe 8 feet long and barely 2 feet deep, I just ended up walking around it with a pool net thing, just getting leaves out when they fell in. I think my friend was sitting down in the pool and we were talking. The adults were just talking amongst themselves. I remember one of the adults seeming a little creepy looking, but I wasn't really paying him much attention. After a while, we go back in the house, and one of the older ladies pulls me aside. She told me that I shouldn't worry, but she wanted to tell me that the creepy looking guy had taken pictures of me on his phone while I was inside the pool. She confronted him about it once she noticed, and he deleted all of the pictures. She told me that she didn't believe him though, and when he wasn't looking, she took his phone and actually deleted all of them. She explained that he probably would have shown his buddies the pictures of me to brag about something he did with me. Remember, I was in middle school, and I've always looked younger than I actually am. This terrified me, but I tried to push it out of my mind, and I ended up not telling my parents, because I thought they would never let me go back to my friend's house again. Actually, to this very day, they still don't know. Later, my friend told me that her stepdad had a serious talk with his friend about what he had done, and I'm pretty sure he sort of cut him out after that, sort of like a last straw type of thing. Looking back, I will always wonder why on earth he took pictures of me, and what would have happened if the lady didn't see him taking them. Part of me thinks it was simply because I was in a skimpy bikini, and I was one of the only girls there that wasn't a child, but it also scares me to think about what he could have done with the photos, or what he would have done to me if there weren't so many people around. So, creepy photographer, let's never meet again. Hey, get out of my pool. Sorry this is so long. Well, I have plenty of stories from over the years, and it takes a lot to scare me, but this one sufficiently freaked me out. I am a big horror movie fan as well, so I feel desensitized to freaky situations, except this one. This happened about a year ago. I'm a male, big guy, ex-football player. I'm in my late 20s. I live in a nice neighborhood in Arizona. Needless to say, I don't have much to fear at night. I had 2 roommates living with me at the time, so there always seemed to be someone home with me at night. I got home late from a business trip around midnight, came into the house exhausted, and dropped everything and went to bed. I am a heavy sleeper, so it takes something loud to wake me. Then, around 3 a.m., I hear a loud ghetto knocking on my door. Sounded like someone was kicking my door down. I never heard anything like it before, though it was a Saturday, so I figured my roommates had gone out to bars and forgot their keys. begrudgingly stumble out of bed, walking down the hallway in the dark, and noticed all the bedroom doors are open and no roommates to be found. It must be them. They're messing with me. I arrive at my front door and look through the people and see a young woman, homeless looking but actually kinda cute. She had a really baggy sweatshirt on with jeans and a beanie. Might I remind you, this is Arizona in the dead of summer. It had to be 95 degrees at the time. This was odd. She was frantic, almost like she was being chased, so I was just gonna open my door and ask if she was okay, but then she started laughing, like a scary laugh, which this stopped me in my tracks. Then she proceeded to yell, "I need to pee! Let me in!" over and over for a good 5 minutes. I just stood behind the door in silence, watching this through the people. I wasn't scared at this moment. I was annoyed, about to yell at her to get out of here. Then, all of a sudden, she just turns and hopscotch down my driveway like a child would. Just thought to myself, this girl is whacked out on drugs or something. I go back to bed. 30 minutes later, I'm just about to fall back asleep, and that same ghetto knock happens again. I'm furious at this point, about to run out there, open the door, and give this woman a piece of my mind. But I look through the people first, and it's a male. He's dressed in practically the same outfit as the woman. He's a scrawny-looking male, not a physical presence by any means, but he looks just as whacked out as her. I can see her behind the guy, jumping up and down, laughing. He is looking into the people, yelling, "Yo, my girl has to pee, let us in!" Now, I'm a little freaked out, not gonna lie. I've seen a lot of situations like this in horror movies, so I just back away from the door, go to the kitchen, grab a knife, go back to my room and sit in my closet. I figured if they were gonna break in, at least they wouldn't see me at first in the closet, and I could launch a counterattack or something like that. Eventually, 2 hours pass, there were no more noises, and I fall asleep in my closet with knife in hand. Then, I hear tapping on my bedroom window. It startles me awake. My bedroom is on the first floor and is accessible from the backyard. The lights are off, so I creep over to the window and push aside slowly one of the blinds. It's the woman peering into my bedroom, but not looking directly at me, just subtly tapping the window. And there, off in the distance, was the guy, butt ass naked, doing cannonballs into my pool. I instinctively, without thinking, yell, "Hey, get out of my pool!" Which brings her attention straight to me. We make eye contact. We are inches away from each other and eyes wide opened. Had the scariest smile and starts giggling. This freaked me the hell out. I instantly call the cops, telling some crazy drugged up wackos are in my backyard. I fear for my life, please send someone. I went into my bathroom, locked the door, just waiting for the "here's Johnny" moment to happen. Dispatcher informed me cops were on their way, but when they got there, they said that no one was outside the house. They must have ran off into the alley when the cops showed up. The next day, I see neighborhood watch flyers all over, informing us that over the past 3 nights, 6 homes had been broken into, 4 dogs brutally tortured and killed, and to keep an eye out for any strange people in the neighborhood. Hairs on my neck stood up straight, but I never heard from or seen those 2 wackos since. Installed an alarm system, got a handgun. I sleep great now, but that look on that woman's face still haunts my dreams. Poole Creeper. So, this happened in 2012. We were living in Las Vegas. He's in the military, so we were a good ways away from home, Texas. Being from a smaller city in Texas, Moving to a huge city like Vegas caused some serious culture shock, and I hermited up for quite a while. My husband is a firefighter in the Air Force, so he worked 24-hour shifts at that time, leaving me home alone in our apartment for those 24 hours. Our apartment was in a decent place in the city. Not the best, not the worst, but decently safe. One night, my only friend in Vegas so far, whose husband worked with mine, asked me to go to the pool with her and her sister-in-law who were visiting. It was a little late at night for my taste, and was already dark out, around 9 to 10 p.m. at night, but I figured why the hell not, better than being home alone, right? So, we get to the pool and see a few people in the hot tub, having some beers and hanging out, no big deal. We get inside the pool and just hang out for a good 30 minutes, when we see all but 3 of the people get out of the hot tub. This leaves an older guy, maybe around his mid-50s, and I believe another younger guy and his girlfriend. The older guy starts talking to us, chatting up my friend. Keep in mind, we're all 20 at the time, and her sister-in-law. I join in the conversation a little bit, but something about him just gives me the creeps, so I keep to myself more than the other girls do. Eventually, the 3 girls I was with go sit in the hot tub with them and start talking. Not really a big deal, but then my friend starts telling this guy all about where she's from, how old she is, and that our husbands work together and are gone until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. This bothers me a little bit because I don't feel like people I've never met should know that I'm going to be home alone all night, but I brush it off as me just being paranoid and try to let it go and talk a little more. I'm still in the pool, a few feet away from the hot tub at this point, because the guy is just giving me bad vibes. It finally gets too cold, and I put my feet in the hot tub but cover my body with my towel, because I just feel awkward with this older man staring at me. The people that were in the hot tub with him leave eventually, leaving just him and us girls. He starts asking us to go back to his apartment to have some beers and hang out. We keep making excuses and changing the subject, but he keeps bringing it up and tells us to go back to his apartment with him. Eventually, he starts going on about what attractive young ladies we are, and how stupid we are for being married so young, which just pisses me off, and again, he goes back to, hey, come over for beers. During the whole process of this, he's been moving closer and closer very slowly to my friend, who seems to think nothing of his advances and is just gabbing away telling her life story. The other girls chiming in and chatting like it's no big deal. Finally, I've had enough and tell my friend to walk me home real quick. She does, and I tell her how odd this dude strikes me, and she tells me I was just being overly paranoid. She goes back to the pool, and I tell her to text me when she gets home that night, so I know she's okay, and it's nearly 12:30 at this point. I got settled in watching TV, thinking maybe I was just being stupid and paranoid, and just let it all go. Then, at around 1:45 a.m., I notice my door handle turning, and hear someone outside. My husband doesn't like me being home alone, so he always kept our gun in the bedside table drawer. I ninja walk into our room, grab it, and make my way to my front door, noticing the handle isn't turning anymore, and praying that whoever it is gone. Look out the peephole as quietly as possible. My door is deadbolted, so I'm not terribly worried yet. And see the man from the hot tub disappearing down the hallway. At this point, I freak out. I call my husband at work telling him what had just happened. He said try to calm down, keep the door and windows locked, go into our bedroom and lock that door too, and to keep the gun and his knife close just in case. But he says he doesn't think anything will happen if the guy didn't try any harder than that. I text my friend and tell her what happened and tell her to make sure she's locked everything, and to call me if she needed me. I kept the lights on all night and didn't sleep at all. but nothing else happened that night. A few weeks go by uneventful. Then one day, my husband and I are coming home after going somewhere, and he stops at the mailroom by the apartment leasing office so I can grab the mail. I go in, and I see the Poole Creeper grabbing his mail. There are 2 doors to the mailroom. All 4 walls are lined up with mailboxes, and there's a big column taking up the center of the room, also lined in mailboxes. He didn't seem to notice me, so I just quickly grab my mail, keep my head down, and try to sneak out quietly. As I'm opening the door to leave, he looks up and smiles this creepy as shit smile and starts trying to talk to me. I pretend not to hear him and run over to the car, making sure he sees my husband and making sure to point him out to my husband. Eventually, a few days after that, I'm home alone while my husband is at work again, and it's the middle of the day. I look over, and there's my damn doorknob turning again. In the time between the first occurrence and this one, we had gotten a puppy, a bull mastiff. She was only a few months old, but she had a nasty bark. She notices the door turning and hears someone outside. The doors are pretty thin and the hallways echo, so any noise, especially shuffling feet, is easy to hear. She freaks the hell out and jumps on the door, sounding off with his bark that you'd assume was coming from some 150-pound dog, and I see the knob stop jiggling and look out the peephole to see him running down the hall. Safe to say the dog got a lot of treats that night. Didn't really have a problem after that. And a few months later, we moved on base.